welcome to a gorgeous Monday. I can't believe we finally hit the last day in April. April seemed like it just went on and on. Maybe it was that whole tax thing. It is Monday, April 30th, 2018, and I am awake and thrilled to be your host, Diane Gatsis Havinga, and we're going to be talking about something that's really important for all of us, and that is sleep and why it is so important and why we need it. And with us, we have my dear friend, who, I'm sorry I fell asleep. That story was just so long-winded, Sheri.
I know, I'm like that. I'm like that. Sorry about that.
Sheri Nidifer, who is our Employee Wellness and Health Center Director. She's the regional director for like 4 communities, Erickson communities?
Just probably 10, but it's okay.
Oh, 10, all right.
4, 10, you know, what do they say, like children, anything more than 2, and it's all just goes.
And is also a nurse practitioner, and I usually don't fall asleep when she tells me a story.
No.
So I want to start with, we have a little video that we're going to play.
Great.
And it's going to kind of give us a good basis for our discussion today. Okay? And then while we play the video, I'm going to have you think of an answer to my really burning question. And the question, I'm going to give it to her right now. The question is it quantity or quality that's more important in sleep? So you be thinking about that. We're going to look at this video.
Sleeping and the 10 scientific health benefits of sleep. We're also going to finish with some proven sleeping tips that will ensure you get a full night's rest and make sure you get the right amount. Before that, let's talk about the health benefits of sleep. Number 1, not getting enough sleep is linked to fat. Did you know that lack of sleep is one of the largest risk factors in obesity? In a short study on sleep duration, researchers found that adults not getting enough sleep were 55% more likely to be obese. Worse than that, children were actually 89% more likely to be obese when not getting enough sleep. Lack of sleep's association with fat accumulation seems to be for a number of factors, many of which are listed below. Number 2, getting the right amount of sleep improves your hormones. Cortisol, your stress hormone, is lowered with the right amount of sleep. Elevated levels of this hormone over time is associated with poor skin quality, obesity, and a long list of other issues. Better sleep has also been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and raise testosterone levels, which will give you more natural energy. Number 3, good sleep improves the immune system. Another health benefit of sleep is helping you fight off being sick. In a recent study, people who slept less than 7 hours a night are 3 times more likely to develop a cold than those sleeping over 8 hours or more. Number 4, sleeping helps improve learning. In a Swiss university study, 2 groups were introduced to a new language. One group right before bed and one during the daytime. The ones who slept immediately after learning new material learned the language quicker than those in the daytime. So studying before bed seems to be a good idea. Number 5, good sleep lowers the risk of developing depression. In a study of twins, researchers found that bad sleep increased the genetic risk of developing depression. In fact, it has been estimated that 90% of patients with depression also suffer from some form of sleep apnea. Number 6, people who get more sleep naturally eat less. When you don't get enough sleep, the fluctuations of hormones cause greater cravings and worse appetite control. So if you're someone who's trying to lose weight but just can't stay away from the late night snacks, getting in more sleep is something that can probably help. Number 7, sleep helps us empathize with others. Another strange health benefit of sleep is a better understanding of social cues. One study found that those who are sleep deprived lose the ability to properly recognize expressions of anger and happiness in the faces of others. Number 8, sleep improves athletic performance. In a study of basketball players, a better night's rest improved the players' reaction times, speed, and accuracy. Now that we discussed the health benefits of sleep, let's talk about how to get a better night's rest. Here are the 5 sleeping tips everyone needs to know. Sleeping tip number 1, use blackout curtains and duct tape to black out your room. Melatonin, also known as the sleep hormone, is raised when the sun goes down to indicate to our bodies that it's time to rest. The problem is that street lights, outlets, and all sorts of other unnatural lights confuse this hormone and trick it into thinking it's still daytime. Do a complete blackout of your room and you will notice a big difference in both the quality of the sleep you get and the ability to get to sleep. sleep. Also, computer screens and phone screens confuse melatonin as well. There are nighttime modes on these devices, but it's always best just not to use them 1 hour before bedtime. Sleeping tip number 2, have a routine. Humans are habitual creatures, and creating a systematic routine will improve sleep. Something as simple as brushing your teeth, reading a book for 15 minutes, and immediately going to bed is a habit you can build to make your sleep almost automatic at night. Sleeping tip number 3, use your bed for nothing but sleep and the occasional physical activity. Goes with the habit thing, but the moment you hit the bed, you want the body to recognize that it's time to fall asleep. So try not to work on your bed or spend any time on it when you're not resting. Sleeping tip number 4, use a pillow between or underneath your legs. This will help to maintain the alignment of your back and improve your posture over time. It will also help those of you suffering with lower back pain. There's no perfect way to sleep, but on your back is probably best as it helps maintain the alignment of your neck and spine. Sleeping tip number 5, napping is great. A short 20 to 30 minute nap lowers cortisol levels and is very healthy for the body. So bring back a little bit of your childhood and do a quick cat nap if feeling tired midday. Our last point is that the right amount of time for optimal sleep benefits is 7 to 9 hours per night. No less than 7 and no more than 9 seems to be the perfect amount. Got a topic you want the health nerd to cover? Just put it in the comments section below. Every comment and like we get on our videos helps our small channel grow. Even a short comment like the health nerd is bootyful helps a lot, and we really appreciate it. And according to the latest research, for every new subscriber I get, a group of baby lion cubs is born. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the health nerd for healthy tips and tricks backed by.
Well, that was full of a lot of information. Some of it I knew, some of it I try to do, but there are other things that I don't. So can we maybe start with my question? I mean, in the video we just saw, he did say 7 to 9 hours of sleep, but the question I always have is the quality versus the quantity. And how do we really know if we had a good night's sleep? Is there a way to know?
Well, there's some quizzes that you can do about daytime sleepiness. It kind of tells you whether you've had a good night's sleep, depending upon how many times you doze during the day. But your question, quality versus quantity, is the same question: is it the chicken or the egg? I mean, because you can have people that say, I can sleep solid for 4 hours, and then I get up and I'm good. But clearly the evidence is saying you need to really sleep for a good 7 to 9 hours, which gets really hard as you get older because we don't sleep as well. I mean, I can't even tell you when I had more than 4 hours of sleep on a single time frame. So I think it gets really confusing, but I think the main thing and what they're kind of saying there is, if you set up a routine, your body will get into that routine. And certainly doing I'm not sure if I would recommend everybody duct tape in their room, but having a dark room is certainly very helpful.
That dark, and they say keep it cool.
Cool. Which again is really hard for some of us women as we get older, because it doesn't matter how cool the room is, we're still hot.
Right.
Right? Covers on, covers off, so so it does become a struggle. It's a significant issue, and it's an issue for even younger people now as the stress level goes up. And my key thing for that whole thing really is those phones and the TV, and I heard somebody just this weekend, I don't know, I was at a store, and they were saying how somebody was biking and they had the child in the seat because they were, had the little stroller on it. And she thought, oh, it's how cute. The little girl was like 2 or 3. Oh, they must be sleeping. They're relaxed. She got up close, and they were on their iPad. And it was just so sad that you just can't turn it off. But I think a huge benefit is to take those phones, put them away, at least a couple hours, and allow your brain just to feel what happened during the day instead of just keeping it on all the time.
Yeah, I don't think our population here has as much problem as we'll be gone by the time that generation really has issues.
No, I see a lot of the residents are really around with their phones. They have their phones all the time, and I don't know. It's very interesting. My mom and dad, they're 78 and 80, and my dad has his phone on his little clip, and he takes it out all the time and my mom
So,
doesn't answer
okay,
a text
so
right away, it's a scary thing. So it's really, it becomes a really bad habit. Because, you don't want to miss a call. You don't want to miss that emergency call. I don't know what we did when we were growing up. I don't know what my parents ever did. I don't know how they got through anything. Not
They
having
didn't
that
know
phone.
anything.
I know.
It wasn't an instant
Right,
gratification
right.
type thing. But so it sounds to me like what you're saying is quality and quantity kind of go together.
Yeah, I think
Now,
it does.
if you're just laying in bed, like for instance, this morning, I kind of went, I think it's time to get up. I kind of opened up one eye and I kind of saw that there was a little light, more light shining, and I was like, gee, but I didn't hear the garbage men, so I don't think, 'cause usually they're right on cue. And I just kind of laid there, and sure enough, about 5 minutes later, I heard the garbage men come. So I knew it was about, what time it was, but I just went, I'm just going to lay here. I'll wait for my clock to chime, and I'll get up. So is that beneficial, just kind of laying in bed and just, trying not, just breathing maybe, and,
Well, I think that's always good mentally to kind of relax. But I don't know about you, Diane, but if I have the alarm set and I've done my series of things that I normally do to go to bed, if I wake up before the alarm, and for a few nights, it's at the exact same time. I can see 5:19. Now, if I roll over and decide, I just want to have a few more minutes of sleep, I am sluggish by the time the alarm goes off the next time. I mean, if your body just has that awake sleep cycle, and if you get into that, then in that rhythm, you almost actually not have an alarm.
Right. I mean, I get up on the weekends regardless, even though I say I can wait another hour before I get up.
And that's important, always keeping the same schedule, which is hard because, the weekend we want to, it's the weekend, I can sleep in. But invariably on the weekend, I'm waking up at the same time going, I just don't have to rush off to work, but I'm up. So, I can get all those things done before noon and then relax. So I don't know the answer to your question really, if that's beneficial for sleep time. It doesn't count for sleep time, but it does count to wake up nicely in the morning. You don't have to sprint out of bed.
So let's talk a little bit about the physical effects of sleep or lack of sleep, because that's really key. And that's what the studies are now showing, is that, you need sleep so that your body can regenerate. Is that the right word? Or
It's interesting because I have a couple quizzes here, but one of the quizzes does ask, so you want to go to sleep at night so your brain can rest. When actually that's not true. You have to sleep so your brain can work through everything that's happened during the day. So when you're resting, your brain is actually working.
Okay.
So if you don't get that rest, your body doesn't have time to assimilate all the memories and everything that's happened during the day. So that might not be retained. So, and I think as we've come through the ages and we're trying to figure out, why is diabetes, so high? Why is heart disease? Why is stroke? Why are people so stressed? What is the solution? So I think that's where sleep kind of came in, to let's do a little bit more studying on the sleep, because, all these things are leading. If somebody is heavier, then they're snoring, and that's really, they're not sleeping well, but maybe they have restless leg syndrome or, daytime sleepiness or insomnia. I mean, all these words, it's really a huge deal. So it's come down to a lot of science now. So it's crazy, whether it's the hormone fluctuations that happen if you don't sleep, or whether it's because you eat to stay awake. But no matter what you do, your body's going to be tired from 12 to 7. That's a normal part of your biorhythms. And then in the afternoon from 1 to 4. You're going to have those 2 sessions where you're going to be tired. Regardless, Diane, if you get a perfect night's sleep, you're still between 1 and 4 going to hit that area of
So when I do
block.
kind of doze, not that I've done this, when I doze off at
Apparently.
those meetings, it's not necessarily my fault. It's just the rhythm of the physical body.
It is, and it's interesting because so how do we fight that? Well, we fight that by, if you go to these meetings, especially if they're lunchtime meetings, I know they're all filled with fruits and healthy, veggies, and I'm sure they're all there, and the cookie's not there. And so eating well will also help you stay awake longer, because you only really need to eat what you're gonna do for the next 2 hours. So that's hugely helpful. So that helps. And the other thing to do, and if Juanita was here, which we miss her, she would be saying, when you get sleepy, go out and take a walk. So in the Wellness Center, Juliet and I have been doing that. So in the afternoon, I do get tired, and so the first thing I'm craving is something sweet, because I'm tired.
Dark chocolate.
Something,
right?
Something.
Okay.
So I just say, come on, let's go. And so we walk around the campus, and that will increase your productivity. It increases your brain. You're talking, you're decompressing, and then now you're awake. And it's amazing the difference that it only takes 15 minutes to do. You're back and you are awake. But those are just your natural biorhythms.
So in your research, you said you had some kind of quiz.
I do. I thought that would be fun. I thought everybody would enjoy you taking a quiz. So one of the quizzes we have is called the Epworth, which is hard to say, EPWORTH. And it actually just assesses your sleepiness scale during the day. So it's just a series of 0 through 3. So 0 is no chance of dozing, 1 is a slight chance, a moderate chance is 2, and a high chance of dozing.
So is this on, like, generally, whether or not, for instance, it says, do you doze when you're sitting and reading? Is that like?
In general.
In general.
So if you were sitting quietly, sitting and reading, how would you score yourself? And I'm not going to tell you to say, unless you feel like sharing.
I mean, that one's I would say it's, if it's in the evening, it's a moderate chance that I will be dozing.
And we'll be careful about that, because I'm the Employee Health and Wellness NP. So if you answer this and I add this up, and you're going to have to see me.
Ooh, okay.
So the other one is watching TV.
And see, that's dependent on what it is. So now
in general,
I would say that I probably have a slight chance of dozing when I'm watching TV.
Then sitting inactive in a public place, so not taking notes, just sitting inactive. You just mentioned falling asleep in a meeting. So in a theater or a meeting.
Well, I went to the theater last night, and I am proud to say I was alert. I did not doze at all.
Great.
But there are times.
There are times, okay.
But it was probably helpful. I was in the second row center, and I could look at the actor, and they could look at me, and that probably wouldn't have been
a good thing. They knew.
They would have known I was sleeping. But I would say I would go with a slight chance, because I have been known in a movie.
In a movie. Well, how about as a passenger in a car for an hour without a break?
I don't really drive that much anymore.
This is not a passenger on a bike, Diane.
No, but it's been a long time since I've been in a car for that
so
long. I would just say a slight chance, because if I'm on a long road trip, I probably would doze off.
Lying down to rest in the afternoon when circumstances permit. So Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon.
That never happens, so I'll just say no.
You okay?
Because I never do that.
Sitting and talking to somebody. Kind of like you just fell asleep on me.
Okay, maybe there's a slight chance. Depends on who I'm talking with.
Sitting quietly after a lunch without alcohol.
I would say 0, only because that never happens, especially here. And when I'm at home, I really don't do lunch per se. So.
And the last one is in a car while stopped for a few minutes in traffic.
Ooh, I would say there's a slight chance.
So it's interesting, one of the articles, because you're so great with sending kind of articles, NIH talked about micro minutes of sleep. I've not ever heard that. So, kind of like when you're in, like you're saying, you're in a meeting or you're in a class or you're even in the car and you don't quite remember the moments from this traffic light to this one. This used to happen a lot. I used to work night shift in the trauma unit. So by the time I got home, I'd wake up in my bed, but I'd think, gosh, I don't even remember driving home. But these are micro minutes where you actually are asleep, you're sleep deprived, your body needs it, and you actually tune out. So your eyes are awake and you're on the road, but you actually tune out. So, you know, being sleep deprived is equal, like missing an hour of sleep or one night's of sleep is equal to driving with an alcoholic beverage. So it's very interesting that I like that micro naps, but your eyes are open and you're there, so you miss a whole note, you know, that in class, you know, I don't remember that in the lecture, but sure enough, it was there and you just kind of tuned out. So
I used to do that when I commuted to the district or Maryland on a regular basis, and you'd get to work and you go, how did I get here?
How did I get here? So it's really scary when you think about all the things that can happen. But that sleepiness scale is one that we utilize in the office to assess for maybe some sleep apnea. So anybody can find that. It's online and they can do their own test. And then if they can score it, it's not anything secret. And bring it to your provider if there's a concern.
So what would you say is the best thing we could do to get that sleep that we seem to have problems? Like, I know some people will say, I hit that pillow and I'm out.
I'm so jealous.
And so am I. And then 3 or 4 hours later, they're up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I hit the pillow and I'm like, even though I've done the, you know, taken a nice shower, you know, I don't have, I've never, that was one thing I never had, and I'm really thankful my kids have followed. I do not have a television in my bedroom. I've never had a television in my bedroom. So there's no TV in my bedroom. I put the cell phone on the other side of the room, basically. You know, I have the blackout curtains, you name it, because light will wake me up.
Wow.
And, you know, I read for 15 minutes, and maybe I doze off, or sometimes I'm downstairs and I fall asleep, and, you know, I go, okay, I'm going to go to bed, and by the time I get upstairs, I wonder why I even bothered.
Well, you know, there are those like 10, 15-minute cat naps that can happen during the day.
So are those good?
Nobody mentioned that anywhere in what you had sent me, but they are actually very good. If you are tired and you can close your eyes and do just the 10, 15-minute, or sometimes, you know, I'm an old night shift nurse, so I can, like, 10, 15 minutes is good for me, and I am ready to go. But when you need to close your eyes, you probably should. I mean, even in work sites, they're actually having sleep rooms. I don't know if you know this. And they're capsules. There's these big domes. They look like something out of, I'm going to say, Logan's Run. That's because I remember that movie. I don't know if anybody else does, or Alien. But they're like domes, and you actually get in them. It shuts the dome over top. You have the earphones on, and you get 30 minutes. And they're at work. They're sleep rooms at work, because it's so vitally important, because you just can't think if you're tired. I mean, how many times does it happen where you're having a conversation at night and you know you're tired, you've said to the person you're talking to, I'm really tired, but of course, you know, usually it's the kids, they still want to have a conversation, so you have it. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, gosh, why was I not nice with that comment, or why did I think that way? Because now in the morning, now that I'm refreshed, I'm thinking through that problem a whole lot better. So there's just so much value in rest. The answer to your question is you're doing a lot of the things that you can do. If you can't sleep, I think it's good to talk to your provider, because when you have a pattern and you actually are following it, your biorhythm should really kind of take you to sleep. And speaking of your phone, there's actually a lot of apps on the phone, although that blue ray that's on the phone is supposed to be bad for you when you're resting. But you can actually have those apps. You can put the phone like kind of upside down near you, and you can actually see how you're resting. So my alarm goes by my biorhythms. This sounds all very strange to me, but I did do it. And if I am the type of person to get up early, then it won't give me any wake up. But if I'm hitting that alarm 3 or 4 times, it adjusts to how I am. Crazy, right?
Right.
It should start that alarm about 4 o'clock to get me up at 6:30, but But so there's all sorts of techniques and things that are out there just simply because it's such a fascinating topic.
So we're getting down to our last few minutes.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
So what do you want us to remember? What's the most important thing, would you say, about this topic? And obviously, we've just touched the...
Just touch the cervix because there are so many. You know, I really think that just paying attention like we do even with exercise, pay attention to your body. And if you need to rest more, take time out to rest. And it's okay because we're not always getting sleep the best. Go take a nap. Turn off the electronics. It's okay. You know, I know I'm speaking more to the employees more so, but I think that's with everybody. You know, that computer screen that you want to check right before, don't check it right before bed. And just have that routine. I think those are.
Is there any food that I could take right before bed or anything to drink besides, they said no alcohol, so that goes, that glass of red wine isn't going to do it, huh?
Right, because your body actually starts to metabolize that a couple hours later, so right when you get to sleep, so it makes your body work more. You know, it's hard to say. There's all sorts of food that they suggest, and even melatonin, we talked about that before, to take before you go to bed. I think you have to just really be careful before you're putting anything in your body. Do some research before you go to bed, because your body does have to metabolize that. They would say some type of carbohydrate right before you go to bed, and that seems to help some people. Everybody is just really different when it comes to that. So I think you have to kind of find your plan and understand you're going to change. So what's been working for you for like 7 years might just be the complete opposite. So yeah, I have absolutely no definite answers for you today.
Maybe we should do a show on change. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And I actually feel I'm sleeping better lately. I mean, I think seasons, do the seasons factor into all that too?
Sure, because there's seasonal affective disorder also. So a lot of people actually don't have enough light during the winter months, so they actually buy a light to give them that light, so that dopamine in their head, the neurotransmitter, can make you feel better and you can go to sleep. So some people do better, and you just feel better in the summer or when the springtime, maybe not hot summer, but the nice days. So there's so, like you said, we just touched the surface. There's so many elements to this. So it's really individual to each person.
But I think that the important things to leave our viewers with is, you know, exercise, eating right. I'm going to throw in hydration.
Yes. For Juanita.
For Juanita. And also a pattern. Establishing that pattern before you go to bed and putting aside those screens. You know, people who fall asleep with the TV in their bedroom, maybe take the TV out and put away your phone. I've always told my family from the get-go, you know, if someone dies in the middle of the night, it can wait until I wake up in the morning. Do not call me. I'm not going to answer the phone. Just, wow. You know, how about that? And we all agreed that, yeah, that's true. So there you go.
Yeah, because those phone calls in the middle of the night, they're not pleasant.
Right. So
yeah.
Thank you, Sheri.
You're welcome.
This has been great, and we'll have Juanita back with us for our annual Get Fit for Summer and get into that bikini, right?